Good day folks, Sean here from Air Photography. So this is my beginner's guide for the new DJI Osmo Pocket 3. This video is geared to those who have never used one before, and it will help you get familiarized with the hardware and the software and get you up and running with it very quickly. Now we're going to stick to the basics in this beginner's guide, some of the basic functionality. If you want to learn about more advanced techniques and features, make sure you're subscribed to my channel, as we'll be making many more advanced tutorials as we go along. So with all that said, let's just jump right in and get started. Now when it comes to the Pocket 3, there's two different packages in which you can get. You can get the basic package, which contains everything that's on this side of the desk, or you can get what's called the Creator Combo, which comes with everything. With the basic package, it comes in at $519. And with it, you get the camera, you get a hard case, you get this little accessory mount, which we'll talk about what that's for here in a second. You get a charging and data cable, and you get a wrist strap. If you go for the Creator Combo, it comes in at $669. Now, if you decide to go with the Creator Combo, not only do you get all this equipment here, you also get a case, a little carrying case for it. You get an extended battery handle. And again, we're going to talk a little bit more about this equipment as we go along. You get a wireless microphone. You get a wide angle lens to help increase the field of view. And you get a little dead cat to go on the microphone. So if you're going to be filming outdoors in windy conditions, that'll help cut back on the wind. So it's not a lot more for the Creator Combo, but you do get quite a bit with it, and I highly recommend it if it's in your budget. So let's take a more detailed look at all the equipment that comes with the packages. We'll start with the camera itself first. So this is the Pocket 3. On the front here, we have a screen. This is how we can change all our settings, and it is rotatable, and we're going to take a look at that here when we power it up for the first time. Right below that, we have a joystick, and this is multifunctional. It can do quite a few different things, and again, we'll take a look at that here coming up. Beside that, we have our record button or shutter button. That can also be a power button if we want to power it on manually, and again, we'll be taking a look at that. If we go over to this side here, we have our memory card slot, and at the bottom we have a USB-C port. This is used to charge the battery, the built-in battery, but it can also be used to update firmware and to transfer content over to your devices. The next thing we'll take a look at here is this accessory. This comes with the basic package and the Creator Combo. Essentially what this does is it connects to the bottom and it gives you a /20, so it allows you to mount the Pocket to things like tripods or extension poles. You can see there is a button on the back. That's how we release it once it's attached, and there's a USB-C port. So you just plug it in until you hear it click. Once you have it attached, you can now mount your Pocket 3 on any device, any accessory that has a /20 mount. And then if we flip it over, the USB-C port's now on the back here for charging it up or transferring content. To release it, you just press the button and you pull it off. And next here we have the extended battery handle, and this is a multi-purpose accessory. First of all, it will extend the recording time about 62%, as this has a built-in battery that will transfer power over to your Pocket 3. And we attach it the same way as the other accessory. It just clicks right in. But when it's attached, it also just gives you a nice little bit of an extension, a bigger handle to hold on to. That can be useful if you're vlogging and you want to get farther away from you. And again, on the bottom, we have a /20. So if you do want to mount this on a tripod or an extension pole, you can do so with that /20 mount. Both of these devices can be charged together or separately, and we'll take a look at that here coming up in a minute. And just like the other accessory, to release it, you just press on the button and it pulls right off. The next thing that comes with the Creator Combo is the wireless microphone. This is a transmitter that will automatically connect to your Pocket 3 and give you nice, crisp, clear audio. This is definitely something you want to use if you're going to be using the Pocket 3 for vlogging, and it can just give you really nice audio in many different scenarios. Now, if you do get the Creator Combo, you don't have to use the wireless microphone every time. If you just power on your Pocket 3 without the microphone, it's just going to use the built-in microphones that are located around the Pocket 3. If you power this on, it will just go ahead and automatically connect to your Pocket 3. At the side here is our power button, and to turn it on, we just press and hold. You'll feel it vibrate and that blue light comes on. When you go ahead and power on your Pocket 3, it will just automatically connect. While it's connected, you can actually hit the button above that, the link button, and that will actually stop and start recording, which we'll take a look at here in a minute. On the other side, we have a USB-C port. That's how we charge up the wireless microphone. And below that, we have a record button. Now, that record button is not to be confused with recording on your Pocket 3. Basically, that record button allows you to use this wireless transmitter as a field recorder. That means you don't even have to have your Pocket 3 on. I can just press this record button. This red light comes on. Now this is recording audio that's going to be saved as a file within its internal memory. So if you like to record your voice separately or have a backup recording, you can do so very easily. At the top here, we have a port for a microphone. So this thing itself functions as a microphone, but if you want to put this, say, in a pocket, you can attach a lavalier to it, which you do have to purchase separately, but then you can just pin the lavalier to your jacket or shirt, and this can sit inside a pocket. You'll notice that in the package, this little magnet was included, and basically it's designed to go on the back of the microphone like that. And what that does, it allows you to mount this on the inside of a jacket or a shirt, and the magnet will hold it in place. That way, if you're filming, say, and you don't want this transmitter visible, you can just have this smaller, less obtrusive magnet visible. And some people prefer that method. The Creator Combo also comes with a wide angle lens, and basically it just connects magnetically to the Pocket just like that. It's not always needed. Basically, that's going to increase your field of view, which can come in handy in some scenarios. On top of that, you also get this dead cat. You can see there's a post there, and it just goes in that hole at the top. And that way, if you're going to be filming outdoors on windy days, that will help block the wind. Now, whether you get the Creator Combo or the standalone package, you are going to get this hard protective case, and the Pocket 3 just fits down in there like that. The nice thing about this case is that there's a spot to magnetically hold your wide angle lens. The camera will still fit inside. And there's also a little spot in which you can store your microphone just there at the top. What's also nice is that because the bottom of it's open, even if you have something like your extended battery handle, you can still keep it in the case. And that way, if you're going to be carrying this in a pocket, you don't have to worry about the gimbal being damaged. In the Creator Combo, you also get this little tripod. Now, in order to use that, you do have to attach either the battery base handle or the accessory handle. And it's as simple as just plugging them in and then screwing it into the bottom. And this tripod is very useful, especially if you're going to be using the active track feature. You can set the camera down and have it follow you around. And as mentioned, if you're using the extended battery handle, it works exactly the same way. You just screw it into the bottom quarter 20. Then of course, lastly, we got the case here. And that will hold all the components from the Creator Combo nicely inside. Now, when you're using this case, you can put the Pocket 3 right inside. There's no need to have it in here. This will keep it all protected. Now, when you purchase the Pocket 3, it does not come with any memory. It doesn't have any internal memory, so you will need to purchase some form of memory card. My favorite memory is SanDisk, and either the Extreme or the Extreme Pro will work just fine. Here I have a 128 gigabyte card, and it just installs into the memory card slot on the side here. You want the graphic facing away from the screen, and you just press it in until you hear it click. Now at this point, we're going to talk about charging the Pocket 3 up. Now, one thing you'll notice that did not come inside the package is a charging brick. We did get a charging cable, but you will have to provide or purchase your own charging brick. Now, most of us have these charging bricks kicking around. They come with tablets, phones, and other different devices. DJI also sells chargers on their website. They have a 30-watt charger, a 65-watt charger you can use. And there's a lot of third-party ones available on Amazon. This one here is by Anker. This is a 45-watt charger. It's nice and minimal. It has a fold-out plug at the back, and it works quite well. To charge up the Pocket 3, it's basically as simple as taking the USB-C cable that came with it and plugging it into your charging brick and then into the bottom of the device. You can see we get this graphic on the screen right away saying how much percentage is in there. The extended battery handle can be charged in conjunction with your Pocket 3 or independently. You can just plug it in, and there's a light on the back there signifying that this handle is charging. The other way to do it is charging them both together. You can plug the handle into the Pocket 3, but this time we're going to use the USB-C on the back of the handle. And you can see when we plug it in, now it's giving us a graphic of both the handle and the Pocket 3 and the percentage of the charge. So we've taken a look at the hardware, we've done a basic overview of everything, we've talked about charging and memory. So now let's talk about getting the camera ready for first time. When you purchase the Pocket 3, there's a couple things that need to be done. First of all, the camera needs to be activated. Most DJI equipment, when you purchase it new, does have to be activated. And there's going to be some firmware that needs to be updated. Now the easiest way to do it is with your smartphone and an app called the DJI Mimo app. You can see I have it installed right there. Basically, you're just going to launch it and power on your Pocket. They're going to connect to one another and prompt you to activate it and install firmware. Now I've already had mine activated, so it's not going to do it. I'll show you a screenshot of when I did mine in an unboxing video. But it's a very simple procedure and it walks you through it step by step. But before we can do that, let's talk about powering the Pocket on and off, because there's a couple different ways in which we can do it. The first way to power it on is just simply rotating the screen. You can see the Pocket 3 powers right up. And again, to power it off, we can rotate the screen. It's going to give you a 2-second timer, which you can cancel if you don't want it to power off. If you don't cancel it, it will just go ahead and power off. The other way to power it on and off is by using the record or the shutter button. To power it on, we can just press that, and you can see it goes ahead and powers on. And again, to power it off manually, instead of using the screen, we can just press and hold that shutter button. So whichever way you prefer to use it, either way works just fine. For most people, rotating the screen is going to be the ideal way to do it. And you can actually change the behavior in the settings. If you do not want your Pocket 3 to power off when you rotate the screen, like say you're going to be recording in vertical mode, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in a minute, you can change that in the settings. Same thing, if you're going to be recording in vertical mode a lot, you may not want to rotate that screen, because when we power it on this way with the shutter button, you can see it's already going to be filming in vertical. So if that's your primary format for filming, you may opt to use that power button instead of rotating the screen. So now at this point, you just have to power it on. You're going to download and connect to the DJI Mimo app. The Mimo app can be downloaded from the Apple App Store. I do believe if you're on an Android phone, you do have to download it directly from the DJI website. When you power on your Osmo the first time, as you can see here, it will detect your device, and all you have to do is hit connect. The other thing you'll need to do is create a DJI account if you don't have one, but the app will walk you through that step as well. From there, you just have to activate the device. Once the device is activated, it will prompt you to install the latest firmware, which I highly recommend that you do. Now, once you've done that, you don't need the Mimo app to use your Pocket 3, but it is a really handy app to have. It can give you a live preview of what you're filming. You can use it as a remote, and you can use it to remotely move your gimbal. So we'll take a closer look at that here later on in the video. So I'm going to zoom the camera in a little bit here so you can see a little bit what I'm doing as we look at the functionality of the Pocket 3. So the first thing we're going to cover is the different modes and how to capture. Again, to power on the Pocket 3, we're just going to rotate the screen. And as mentioned, there are different types of media that we can capture. By default, when you power it on, it's always going to go right into video mode. So if you were to hit the shutter button down here, it's going to start recording video. But we can hit that button down in the bottom left-hand side, the little icon of the video camera there, and that's going to bring up all the different filming modes. We can shoot panoramas, photos, videos. We have low light video mode, we have slow motion, and we have time-lapse features. Now we're not going to be covering all these shooting modes in this video. I'm going to save them for separate tutorials. We're basically going to be looking at photos and videos. So right now we're back in video mode, and to just start recording, we just hit the record button there, and it's going to start recording. And of course, hit it again, that'll stop it. If we put it into photo mode, it works exactly the same. If we hit the button there, it's going to go ahead and take a photo. Now when we're in video mode, we can change the resolution at what we're capturing in and the frame rate. And to do so, we swipe up from the bottom of the screen. You can see there, we can shoot in 1080, 2.7K, and 4K. And when we're in 4K, our frame rates range from 24 frames per second all the way up to 60 frames per second. Now, one of the nice things about the Pocket 3 is that we can film in both horizontal, which is traditional aspect, or we can film in vertical if you want to be filming for social media, things like TikTok, Instagram Reels, or YouTube Shorts. The first way is just rotating the screen. Now, you do have to hit that continue button, otherwise the camera will go ahead and power off. But now we are filming in a vertical format. Now, when you're filming in vertical format, the resolution bumps down to 3K, and you'll notice you do get a message at the top warning you of that. But 3K is still more than adequate when it comes to resolution. When we switch it back to horizontal, you'll see it automatically goes back to 4K. Now the other way to capture is by enabling a quick record type of method. And basically what that does is when you power on your Pocket 3, it's going to automatically start recording. And that can be beneficial if something's happening quick in front of you. It just saves you a couple steps and helps you prevent from missing the action. So to enable that, we're going to swipe down from the top. And this button here at the top, we're going to enable the screen rotate and capture feature. From there you can set it to what you want it to do. If you want video, low light, hyperlapse, or you can have it on your last setting. But let's go ahead and we'll power it off here, because now you'll notice when we power it on, it's going to automatically go in and start recording. And it does it very quickly, which can be important. And then again, when we rotate the screen, it's going to stop recording and then go ahead and power off. Now with the Pocket 3, we can change the behavior of the gimbal. You can have it facing yourself. You can have it automatically face yourself. We can have it automatically detect a face and start tracking it. And we are going to get into that here in a second. But let's take a look at the joystick first. This is actually a multi-purpose button. The first thing it does is it can adjust the gimbal. So if you're trying to get nice cinematic shots, you can move the joystick up and down. That's going to move the camera up and down. And we can go side to side. But it's also a button that we can press. The first thing you can do is press and hold. What that's going to do is lock the camera facing forward, or whatever angle you have it set at. And that can come in handy in some scenarios if you don't want the camera moving up and down. The other thing we can do is a double press. That's going to reset the gimbal, put it back facing forward. And the other thing we can do is a triple press. And that's going to rotate the gimbal if we want to move it into selfie mode, if we're going to be doing some vlogging. And again, another triple press will turn it back around. Now we can also access selfie mode by pressing that button down in the bottom right hand side. That'll do the exact same thing. Now one of the features of the Pocket 3 is something called Active Track. And with Active Track, you can have it track people or objects, and it can help keep the subject centered in the screen. Even if the subject is moving, the camera is going to follow it around. Now I'm just going to use the microphone here as an example. Hopefully you can see that on the video. But what we can do is just double tap that on the screen, select the object we want to track. You can see it says Active Track enabled. So now as we move the camera around, it's going to keep that microphone in the center of the screen. Even if we have the camera pointing a different way, it's going to try and keep it in the center of the screen. And for the most part, it works very well. I'm going to try and lose it. Yeah, see there, we've lost it, but then it picked it back up. Let's see if it'll pick it back. Yep, there it goes. So if you do lose the subject, it will try its best to re-find it. And to cancel active tracking, you can just press the joystick and that will cancel it. You can also active track yourself when in selfie mode. So let's go ahead and we're going to put it in selfie mode here. I'm going to turn the gimbal down so we can see myself. And again, I can just tap on my face there. And now again, it's going to keep me in the center of the screen. Now another nice feature of the Pocket 3 and Active Track is you can have it automatically detect a face when you're in selfie mode. So that way the camera's just going to automatically look at you and start tracking you. And we can do so by swiping down to get to our settings. And that button there at the top right hand side, that's face tracking. We've just enabled it. So now when we turn the camera to face us, it should automatically look for a face and start tracking. And there we go, indeed it did. Now if it doesn't pick you up right away, all you have to do is double tap on your face and it will start tracking you. Now lastly, one thing I do want to show you here, one setting, and it's to do with vlogging again. If you're going to be using the Pocket 3 primarily for vlogging, we can change the behavior at which way the camera is pointing at startup. Because if we're going to be using the Pocket 3 primarily for vlogging, when it starts up, we just want the camera facing us. So to do so, again, we're going to swipe down to go to our main settings page, and we're going to click that button down there at the very bottom left-hand side. That goes into more advanced settings. And the second one down says Gimbal Startup Direction. By default, it's set to forward, but we can set it to backwards. So let's go out of there. So now when we power it off and power it back on, you can see the camera now is facing us directly, but you can still turn the camera frontwards just by rotating the gimbal if you want to film something else. Now, the Pocket 3 is capable of zooming up to 2 times. Now, it is just a digital zoom, so you are going to lose a little bit of quality, but it still looks pretty good. And to do so, you can see at the right-hand side in the middle there, that's our zooming slider. So as you can see, when we press and slide, that's going to zoom in and out. The other way to zoom is just by pressing and touching it. What that's going to do is switch the zooming capability from that slider down to the joystick. So now when we press up and down on the joystick, instead of moving the camera up and down, it's actually going to be zooming in and out. So that could be a little bit easier in some scenarios if you want a more smoother zoom. Now, to preview any media you've captured, all we do is swipe from the left-hand side. That's going to automatically start playing your last captured video. But if we click that icon in the top left-hand side, that's going to give you a grid view of everything that's stored on the memory card. From there, you can start playing it, or you can use the scrub bar at the bottom to fast forward it. You can adjust the volume. You can turn it up and down. To delete files, go back to the main grid view, and we can multiple select different files. We can add them as a favorite, or we can go ahead and delete them. Now, if you want to get into more advanced camera settings, if you want to get creative, adjusting your shutter speed and ISO, we can do so by swiping over from the right-hand side. We have an option there called Pro Mode. We can enable that, and from there we get some more advanced settings. We can set our white balance, we can adjust our color, we can film in D-Log if you want to do your own grading, but we can also adjust our exposure settings. But I'm not going to get too much into detail in this video on that. But the other thing we can do in this setting, even when we're not in Pro Mode, is we can turn on glamour effects. Basically with that, it's going to smooth out your skin, get rid of wrinkles, brighten your face, make your nose smaller. There's all different settings that you can adjust. Now, if you turn it on just from within the Pocket 3, it's going to use the default settings. If you want to go in and change what it's adjusting, you have to connect it to the Mimo app. And there's an option in there in which you can adjust all the settings. Now, the last thing I do want to show you here quickly, because it can be important in some scenarios, and that is adjusting how the gimbal responds to movement. Most of the time, the default setting works well because it's going to make nice smooth motions. But if you're like, say, filming a car race and you're going to be moving the camera a little bit more quicker, you want that gimbal to respond just as quickly. So if we swipe down to go to our main settings page here, this picture of this man, if we click on that, you can see we get options for the rotation speed of the gimbal. Right now it's set to the default speed, which, like I said, for most scenarios works perfectly. But we can switch it to fast, and that's just going to make the camera move a little bit quicker. Or we can put it to slow, and that way if you want to get more cinematic shots, it's going to really slow it down and it's going to look a little smoother. Now, lastly, before I go here, I'm just going to show you quickly how to use the wireless microphone that comes with it if you order the Creator Combo. It's very simple. All you have to do is power on the transmitter. You'll see that blue light's blinking. That means it's now powered on. And you can go ahead and clip this to a shirt or a jacket. All you have to do is power on your Pocket 3. And as you can see there, it just goes ahead and automatically connects. You don't have to actually go in and pair it yourself. When the transmitter connects to the Pocket 3, it does disable the onboard microphones. The other thing that you'll notice here is that we have this kind of audio meter at the top. It basically will show you your audio levels and let you know if you're peaking. If the audio levels are too loud, you can see it goes up into the orange there. I don't know if you can see that. It's a good way to keep an eye on the audio. That way you know the audio levels are going to be good. If you notice it's orange and it's peaking, just move it a little bit farther away from your mouth. Now, I've already demonstrated this, but this is a dead cat and it just connects into the hole there at the top. And definitely if you're going to be filming outdoors on a windy day or even a slight breeze, attach this to the microphone and that'll get rid of all that unpleasant wind noise. Well, folks, that is my beginner's guide for the Osmo Pocket 3. Of course, there are many more advanced features and some pretty incredible things that this camera can do, but I am going to save them for more advanced tutorials. If there's anything specific you want me to make a tutorial about, just let me know down in the comments and I'll do my best to make that happen. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully you got some value out of it. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. It's always greatly appreciated. And we'll see you in the next one.